it's actually kind of kismet that your video is about The Wiz and Diana Ross hates Dreamgirls because Dreamgirls is supposed to be a parody of how she became the lead singer of the Supremes. Now let's go over some of the similarities. Dina and Diana, Dreams and Supremes. Where are they from? Detroit. Now Curtis and Dina get into a relationship, and Curtis is a music mogul. Who does that sound like? Maybe Barry Gordy? And there's so much lore around this because Cheryl Lee Ralph has talked about this a lot. She played Dina on Broadway, and she was nervous to even speak to Diana Ross later on in life because there is rumors that like Diana Ross would come see the show and leave like frustrated, like she left halfway. She hates this movie. She hates this story because it paints her in a very bad light. But let's get into the misunderstandings of this movie. The biggest misunderstanding of this movie is that Effie somehow contributed to being ostracized from the group. And if you believe that Effie contributed to being ostracized, you are downplaying how much of a villain Curtis is in this movie. You are also missing the themes of fat phobia and colorism, but let's take that off the table for right now. So Curtis is a car salesman. I know I just said he's a music mogul, but that's later on in the movie. When we meet him, he is a car salesman. The movie actually opens up with like an Apollo amateur night, and the Dreamettes, which consist of Effie, Laurel, and Dina, are about to perform, but they are backstage. Now, it's a very short portion of this movie, but it lays the foundation of the whole theme. Curtis sees Dina. That's it. He sees a beautiful young woman. Mind you, Dina's 16. It's a grown man, but we don't get into how problematic that is. He does not hear her sing. He does not see her dance. He simply sees how beautiful she is. Now, do they perform later? Yes, but we'll get to that. There is a song in the movie talking about, so when I first saw you, I said, oh my, you are my dream. And they mean that literally. Now, that's what another thing that people miss is like Broadway plays have to be very explicit because they're on stage. So they are very heavy-handed with the point they want to get across. Egregious things happen to Effie so that you can see her as a victim. And the fact that a lot of people don't see her as a victim plays into the colorism and fat phobia. But let's go into like actual plot points. So when the girls actually perform, they do amazing. Nobody is touching them. Nobody has a crowd reaction like them. But they don't win. Now, why is that? Because Curtis pays the host so that they don't win. Now, why would he do that? Now, Jimmy Early is supposed to be like a James Brown character. He is the headliner for the night. He has lost his background singers. Now, Jimmy has a propensity of sleeping with his background singers, even though he's a married man, and they have had enough. And Curtis sees this as a way into the music industry. He says, if I can do this big favor, not literally, but he says, if I can do this big favor, I'm going to have it into the music industry, and this will be my ticket to fame, stardom, and wealth. Now, he ain't wrong, but he does have a problem because Effie don't do background singing, honey. She knows she got the voice. She has the confidence. She is self-assured. But luckily, Dina is wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and convinces her to sing background. Now, this is the first thing I want y'all to remember. Effie did not want to sing background, but she did it for the group. So people that call her selfish, how? When they wouldn't even have the opportunity if she didn't come along. Now, one thing I will say about Curtis is he do be working. He found a way for them to break away from Jimmy Early and have their own established group. But wait a minute, there's a caveat. He says Dina gonna be singing lead. Now, this is where people have an issue, and this is also why casting is very important. Now, Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter can sing down, but Dina cannot, and this is where people misunderstand, because in the movie, songs are beautiful, songs are amazing, but the point is that Effie is the voice, and that is what she points out to Curtis. She says, Dina's beautiful, she's always been beautiful, but I've got the voice, Curtis. I've got the voice. Now, why would somebody that can't sing or isn't the best singer out the group be leading the group? It's because she's lighter skinned and she's smaller. And Curtis's whole goal is to break into like that white demographic. He knows that's where the money is. He's a smart man. So people do point out the fact that it was kind of rude for Effie to say that Dina was beautiful, but she had the voice. But guess what? People also ignore. Literally nobody in that room says anything to defend Dina. You want to know why? Because she can't sing. That's a character. That's a plot point. She cannot sing. And it's further illustrated because when she finally does become the face of the group, even her own mother says she's never had much of a voice. She was genuinely confused as to why she was leading the group. And she's talking to Curtis at the time. And Curtis basically says something about like how he can market her. And her mom pushes back and is like, you talk about her like she's a product. And instead of seeing an issue with that, Curtis is like, yeah, she is a product. So let me reiterate. Effie did not want to sing background for Jimmy early, but she did it. And I kind of glossed over it, but she started singing background in the group that she used to be the lead for. So she's always been a team player. They were able to gaslight her and make her understand that this was what's best for the group, even though she wanted to like lean more on talent. Like talent would push them through. And they was like, nah, girl, shut up. But in this time, Curtis hires a secretary. And this is going to be relevant a little bit later. So to keep Effie happy, Curtis allows her to think that possibly one day she will be able to regain her lead spot. He has CC write her songs, but every time it's like something's not right. He always nitpicks. All of these things are to diminish her confidence because she's always been a self-assured, confident woman. Now, she grows increasingly frustrated, and the straw that breaks the camel's back is that she finds out that her best friend, Dina, is sleeping with her man, Curtis. And she do act out, but like that one part where she acts out and oversings Dina cannot be the reason that y'all think that she deserves to be out of the group. Like, that's crazy. And to further illustrate that it was never about talent, that secretary that I mentioned is who Curtis hires to replace Effie. Like, it was never about talent. It was all about a brand. So no matter what she did, she was never going to be enough. And they would never like be on the same page because she always wanted to sing and they was not going to let her because he didn't think he could sell her to white people. So to say that she is a problem misses the point. I could talk about this all day. Okay, not too much on my girl now. And I don't want to break the internet by talking about Beyonce again. But we have to remember that, especially when we're talking about the movie, we need to think about the soundtrack. So that is why we needed a big name on the soundtrack. And honestly, let's wake it up because Beyonce should be a Tony away from an EGOT because she should have got an Oscar for Listen. However, she was the fourth writer on the song and not in the top 3, and they didn't give her an Oscar for it. But let's get back to casting. The only person that's not supposed to be there is Jennifer Hudson. Now, let's rewind it back to the early 2000s. Fantasia. That's one American Idol. She's now on Broadway doing Color Purple. I always prefer her version over Cynthia Erivo's, but that's another story as well. Jamie Foxx is already cast as Curtis, and he wants Fantasia to play Effie. And the studio was like, nah, we're good. Jamie Foxx even threatened not to do the movie if they do not cast Fantasia. And I don't know if you remember the BET Awards from like the year prior to it releasing, they stage a kissing scene on stage at the BET Awards. Everybody's like, whoa, just to prove romantic chemistry and that the role could work. But it didn't work out for Fantasia. We all get the iconic performance from Jennifer Hudson. And that's the story. But back to Beyonce. She did actually downplay her singing abilities a lot in this movie, and you can see in their performances afterwards promoting the movie that Mama was holding back. And honestly, it's a testament to her singing ability that is her parsed back, okay? I'm from North Carolina. Don't come for the princess. No, I'm joking. But the point of people saying the vocal story gets missed because people don't realize that Dina can't sing, I think having Fantasia would have made that way more apparent because of her distinct voice. Also, Fantasia grew up in the church. I don't think it's true that she can't blend. Like, she can blend. Like, she's been in a choir before. She knows what to do. Because they even say in the movie, like, who sings as crazy as you? Like, Fantasia singing crazy and Jennifer Hudson singing crazy are two different things. Jennifer Hudson, beautiful voice. But, like a lot of people critique her, it's just loud. It's volume. It's belting. Fantasia singing crazy. Wow. And it also would have made the point more apparent, like, you're denying this talent. Not that the other girls aren't talented, but Beyonce and Jennifer Hudson are both husky altos. It would have just gave a little bit more differentiation. Like, this is clearly the lead singer. We're definitely going to have to agree to disagree, but I wanted to use your comment to say a point that I missed in my initial video. So the biggest reason we know that Dina can't sing is because of how poignant Listen is to the movie. Like, the producer is genuinely shocked that she is delivering this song so well, which would make somebody assume that she has not done that before. Even Curtis comes into the recording session and is like, who is this? And bro, you're literally married to this girl. And somebody else did bring up a good point, like that it's not just on the actors to illustrate plot points. So like they should have shown like different scenes where it was taking her multiple times to get a song. She wasn't able to learn the parts, like the harmonies are off or something like that. But like maybe the producers are frustrated with her. Like they could have showed that in different ways without having Beyonce not sing as well as Beyonce can sing. But to your actual point that's brought up in this comment, Sharon Leal would have been like 33 when they're recording this movie. Let's remember, Dina starts the movie at 16. Beyonce is 23, 24 when they're recording this movie. Well, not recording, but shooting. So like, if we're gonna give a chance to a less known celebrity than Beyonce, let's make it make sense with the story. I do think Beyonce's star power is a net positive to this film. Like, yes, we had Eddie Murphy, yes, we had Jamie Foxx, but having someone as well known as Beyonce can never be a bad thing, because at the time we don't know Jennifer Hudson. Only a select few people know Anika Noni Rose, but we all know the male actors in this movie. So we needed a female to kind of balance that cast out. She absolutely was, and this was revealed in the heavy scene. So after Effie makes a scene and they storm off, Dina asks, why are you acting like this? And then she talks to Curtis and she says, you're sleeping with her and everybody knows it. They stop. Nobody denies it. But then it's further reiterated and It's All Over, which is like that talk singing portion before And I'm Telling You, where she says, you're knocking off that piece who thinks she's better than everybody. She ain't better than anybody. She's just nothing but common. Now, knocking off. And Dina isn't mad that she says that she's dealing with Curtis. She's mad that she calls her common. So now Dina is now feeling herself. Now, why would she be doing that? See, she letting fame get to her head, okay? So she absolutely was. She absolutely knew Effie and him was still in a relationship. She messy. Well, you got one, sugar booger. And this will be my last long form video, and I want to go over two specific topics. I want to go through how everybody in basically the main cast failed Effie. I'm not going to go over Jimmy Early, but I am going to go over Dina, Laurel, Michelle, and Cece. And we've already discussed Curtis. The second part of the video will be how Curtis failed Dina because he truly never valued her, and we'll get into that. Now, I'm going to start with the most egregious example first, and that's going to be Big Head Cece. Now, Cece is a sucker for real. Like, Cece's job in the group was to write the songs. So if you're writing the songs, how did Heavy become a song? Quickly. Like, they wanted to fight for real. See, when Effie said I could go further, she should have went the furthest with him. So Heavy aside, he literally contributes to blindsiding his sister not once, but twice. He knew that Curtis was going to make Dina the lead of the group. He knew that because Curtis talks about having the wigs and outfits and everything already prepared, which means he probably had songs prepared to go with those wigs and outfits. And who was writing the songs? Then talking about some we a family. Nigga, I'm the only family you got, and you over here blindsiding me and then gaslighting me. Whew. See, I'm trying not to be mad. And the second time, when she's getting kicked out of the group, you can't even give her a heads up. Talking about some, I thought you was going stuttering. Because, like I said, he writes the songs. So Michelle comes in with the outfit, talking about knowing the steps and being confused about the parts. So who is showing her the music? Could it be the person that she ends up being in a relationship with later? Yeah, a sucker. Now, yes, people will say that Cece sent her money and he never forgot her. But if you truly was thinking about your sister, you would have had way more than one song. And then Dina's version of One Night Only eats up Effie's. I'm on that side. I'm on that side. I'm on it. So the song that you do end up coming with won't even know heat. Like, please. Now let's move on to Michelle. And this, I might yell about Michelle because she worked my nerves for real. I think the most egregious thing about Michelle, because you could be like, dang, they didn't even see each other. Yes, they did. And when she first met her, you was throwing shade. What you talking about, a second-rate diva that can't sustain? You about to sustain some injuries, heifer. Also, and It's All Over, what you talking about, some Effie, we all got pain? You just got here! Sorry, I said I wasn't going to yell. I'm sorry. But, mama, you should have been silent. We should have seen you like, do y'all have pain? Like, you should have been confused. You was a secretary last week talking about something you got pain. What is your pain? What is your pain, Michelle? Also, if you're dating Cece, you should know about Effie's situation, financially or whatever. So, yeah, you a bird just like Laurel. Which brings me to Laurel. Now, I'm not going to hold you. I did not feel no type of ways when she was like, she not letting me see him when Jimmy died. Because why would you be a mistress for your whole life? Like, love yourself, queen. My God. But Laurel pisses me off because Effie says in It's All Over that her and Dina be together. And then she wanted to act shocked. But you are also contributing to blindsiding her. If y'all wasn't always together, you and Dina, then how did Effie not know that she was about to be replaced? You didn't give her a heads up either. And we can all talk about the dynamics of a girl group, especially with 3 members, and how, like, you know, they was poking fun at Dina when they had lost their virginity and she was still a virgin. But that's very different than somebody losing their livelihood and you not giving them a heads up. Like, what are we doing? But that's your friend. That's your girl. Also, you was all too happy to be singing Heavy Heavy too. Like, I'm not getting off of that. I'm not getting off of that because nobody stood up for her during that song. Like, everybody wanted to act stupid. Okay. So the last person is Dina. Now, we know Dina stole her man. We know Dina was smelling herself and knew good and well that she could not sing as better than Effie, but still took that spot. But the biggest issue I had with Dina is y'all grew up together and you never once checked up on her. Cece sending money because that's his sister. But you never once, like, you saw everything play out. You knew you was cheating out like the other woman. And you never once checked up on that lady. That's crazy to me. That's wild. Like, even if you didn't talk to her, you didn't even see, like, what's going on. Because if you did, you would have known about the baby. That's why I don't feel bad about, like, oh, you got a baby? She's 9. Yeah, because if you would have checked up on me, sent a Christmas card or something, like, be the bigger person. You the rich one. So that's the crazy part is, like, she really never saw anything wrong with her behavior until One Night Only, which is crazy. It's crazy. Like, she never came to the realization of, like, you know what we did was kind of messed up. until that one song. Because I have to correct something I said in the first video. Curtis is actually who convinced them to sing behind Jimmy early because Dina was ready to leave. She was like, how long we gonna be doing this? Not you the one without talent and trying to control when we leave. Girl, please. So she always wanted it her way, how she wanted it, the way she saw it. So her and Curtis was very much two peas in a pod. But she was also getting victimized. Like, I think a good lesson of this is the grass is not always greener, because Curtis was like financially abusing her. Like, when she wanted to do that movie and he sabotaged that meeting, I was like, oh, that's some craziness. Like, you really went out of your way, destroyed a friendship for this to be your marriage. Like, trying to make her do that Cleopatra movie, knowing that, one, she didn't want to do it, and two, like, she would have to play a 16-year-old knowing she was a grown woman, is crazy. Like, he really was very firm in, what I see for you is what you're going to have and nothing more and nothing less. And that is wild, which gets to the family portion, because that's all she wanted. That's how you know he really didn't love her, because the one thing that she wanted and requested of him, he refused to give her. Which is still a blessing, because she was able to leave that marriage scot-free. If they would have had a baby, they would have been, or she could have been like Effie. Because honestly, if you do me wrong in my pregnancy, you wouldn't be seeing my baby neither. Magic ain't got no daddy. Like, you can say it's wrong for her to live poor or whatever, and that was pride and that was ego. But nah, I'm not having blood money. And nah, we'll be all right. We will be all right. And honestly, let's call a thing a thing. The man, the uncle or the daddy that Effie was living with at the end, you know good and well he was taking that money. You not gonna get me to believe that he saw all that money coming in and was like, oh, I'm gonna throw it away. Yep, he put that away. That's how the lights was on. You thought that man was working? But the funniest thing is Curtis thinking that he could like recreate anything with that new random girl at the end. Child, yeah. But yeah, Cece broke her heart the most, because she realized that she didn't have an ally in even her brother. Laurel and Dina was clicked up. Michelle should have kept her mouth shut. And Dina, she tried to do the right thing at the end. I'll give her that. But One Night Only, the disco version, is the only version. It's the best version. And I will die on that hill. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video.